My dad broke into my apartment and shouted, "I need your help now." But when I refused, he dropped a folder on my table and said, "You owe me everything." I opened it and froze. Inside was proof that it was a Wednesday night, and I was finally having some peace and quiet. Work had been HLL. Nothing new, just the usual office politics, a never-ending pile of reports, and a boss who thought breathing down my neck would make me work faster. By the time I got home, all I wanted was to crack open a cold beer, put my feet up, and maybe rewatch an old episode of Law and Order before passing out on the couch. I had just settled in when my front door slammed open. Not knocked, not politely turned. Slammed. I jumped so hard that my beer nearly slipped out of my hand. And there he was, my father, the man I hadn't seen in 5 years. He stood in the doorway, breathing hard, his face pale and slick with sweat. His graying hair was a mess, and his clothes were rumpled like he had been running for hours. "Dad," my voice came out sharp, startled. "What the HLL? I need your help," he gasped, stepping inside without so much as a hello. I stared, still trying to process the fact that he was even here. "How did you even?" My eyes flickered to the door handle. That's when I noticed he had a key. I felt a hot wave of anger rise in my chest. I had changed the locks years ago. How the HLL did he have a key? "You have 5 seconds to explain before I call the cops." That got his attention. His eyes snapped up to mine, dark and desperate. "You don't understand." "No." I cut him off, voice like ice. "You don't understand. You don't get to just show up after 5 years of nothing." And he reached into his coat and pulled out a thick manila folder. Without a word, he stepped forward and slammed it onto my coffee table. "You owe me everything," he said, his voice shaking. I clenched my jaw. "Are you serious right now?" No answer, just his heavy breathing and the sound of the TV in the background. I glanced down at the folder. It looked old, worn around the edges. Something about it made my stomach twist. Curiosity got the better of me. I reached for it. I flipped it open. And then, I froze. Because what I was looking at was impossible. My hands trembled as I pulled out the first sheet. It was a birth certificate, mine. Except, it wasn't. The name on it wasn't the one I had always known. The parents listed weren't the ones who had raised me. And that was just the beginning. I flipped through page after page. Adoption papers, legal documents with signatures I didn't recognize, a series of letters from a woman named Angela Rains. I didn't know her, but her name was all over the paperwork. And then, at the bottom of the stack, was a black and white photo of her. A woman with dark hair, soft eyes. A woman I had never seen before in my life. Except I had, because she had my eyes. And suddenly, I couldn't breathe. "What the FCK is this?" My voice came out hoarse, barely above a whisper. Dad ran a hand over his face, looking exhausted. "It's the truth." I swallowed hard, my pulse pounding in my ears. "No," I shook my head. "The truth is that Mom died when I was 6. The truth is that you raised me alone after that. The truth is," he slammed his hand on the table. "No, it's not." I jerked back. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then, in a voice barely above a whisper, he said, "Your real mother was murdered." The words hung in the air, sharp and jagged. I just stared at him. "What?" He swallowed hard. "Her name was Angela Rains." I felt a chill run through me. "She was your mother, not the woman you knew." He let out a slow, shaky breath. "And she didn't die in an accident, like I told you." I felt my stomach drop. "She was K-led," he said, voice cracking. "And I've spent the last 30 years making sure you never found out." A numb, awful silence filled the room. I couldn't move, couldn't speak. My whole life, I had believed one story. And now, in the span of 5 minutes, it had been completely shattered. I finally managed to whisper, "Why?" His eyes met mine. And then, he told me. I stared at my father, my hands gripping the folder so tightly my knuckles went white. My brain was refusing to process what he had just said. Your real mother was murdered. Everything felt wrong. My apartment. The air. The way my father was looking at me, like he wasn't just waiting for my reaction, he was bracing for it. I forced myself to speak. "You're telling me the woman who raised me wasn't my mother?" He exhaled sharply. "No. She loved you, but she wasn't your biological mother." I shook my head, as if I could physically shake away what I was hearing. "You expect me to believe that? After everything? After?" I gestured wildly to the papers in front of me. "This could be fake. You could be messing with me." His face darkened. "You think I'd make this up?" I didn't know what to think. For years, I had carried the image of my mother in my mind. The woman I had cried for when I was little. The one whose death had hollowed out my father and turned him into the man he was now. And now, he was telling me that woman wasn't even my mother? I grabbed the black and white photo again, my hands shaking. The woman in the picture looked young, maybe in her 20s. She had dark, wavy hair that fell over her shoulders and eyes that felt strangely familiar. Because they were mine. I pressed my fingers against my temples. No, this doesn't make sense. You lied to me. My whole life. You let me believe I did what I had to do." He interrupted, his voice rough. I let out a harsh laugh, though there was nothing funny about any of this. And now what? You just waltz in here after 5 years, drop this in my lap, and expect what? That I'm gonna hug you and thank you for lying to me. He clenched his jaw. I don't expect you to thank me. I expect you to listen. Because I don't have time to explain this gently. My stomach twisted. Explain what? His gaze flickered to the window, as if checking for something. Then he turned back to me. They found me. A chill went through me. They? I repeated, slowly. He rubbed a hand over his face. I should have told you years ago. I should have. He cut himself off, shaking his head. Angela, your real mother, was murdered because of my family. I blinked. What? His voice dropped to almost a whisper. My father, your grandfather, was involved in things. Illegal things. Dangerous people. When Angela got pregnant, she wanted out. She wanted to disappear, to take you somewhere safe. But they couldn't let that happen. I swallowed, my throat suddenly dry. Are you saying, they had her K-led? He said, his voice raw. I wasn't supposed to survive either. But I did. And I took you, changed your name, gave you a new life. I pushed back from the table, my heart pounding. This is insane. This is a F-King movie plot, Dad. You expect me to believe my entire life was a lie because of some secret crime, family bullshit? His expression hardened. You think I want this to be true? I shook my head, struggling to breathe. You said they found you. What does that mean? What do you want from me? His shoulders slumped slightly, like a man carrying too much weight for too long. It means I don't have much time. And neither do you. I laughed, but it came out hollow. You're being dramatic. His face remained stone cold. They know who you are now. That stopped me. What? They've known about me for a while. But you? They didn't know you were alive. Not until recently. I felt sick. How? They started looking into me again a few months ago. I don't know why. But then I got a call. No words, just silence. That's how they do it. A warning. I ran a hand over my face. This is F-King ridiculous. He leaned forward. They're coming, and they won't stop until... A loud bang echoed through the apartment. I jumped. It took a second to realize it was the sound of my front door closing. A slow, creeping dread filled me. Did you lock the door? I asked. My dad's face went pale. No. We stared at each other for a split second before, footsteps. Slow. Measured. Coming from the hallway. Dad grabbed my wrist and pulled me toward the kitchen. We have to go? Now. I had never seen him this scared. Wait. No time. His grip was like steel. Do you trust me? I almost laughed in his face. But then I heard the footsteps stop. Right outside the living room. A shadow shifted under the door frame. Someone was here. My dad met my eyes. Move. And for the first time in my life, despite all the lies, all the secrets, I listened. We ran. Not a second too soon. The moment we bolted from the kitchen, I heard the creak of my apartment floor. Someone was inside. I didn't get a look at them. I didn't want to. My dad yanked open the back door to the fire escape, practically dragging me with him. Go. Go. We clambered down the metal steps, the sound of our shoes clanging against the steel. My heart was pounding in my ears. I wasn't sure if I was more terrified of whoever had broken in, or the fact that I was running with the man who had just turned my world upside down. We reached the alley. My dad didn't stop. He grabbed my wrist and pulled me forward. Come on, this way. We ran for blocks. Through alleyways, side streets, ducking through shadows and cutting across intersections. My lungs burned, but I kept moving. Because for the first time in my life, my dad looked like a man who knew exactly what he was doing. I should have been angry. I was angry, but fear had taken priority. Finally, we ducked into an old parking garage. Dad leaned against a pillar, catching his breath. I doubled over, panting. For a few moments, neither of us spoke. Then I hissed. What the HLL was that? He straightened up, wiping sweat from his forehead. That, he said, was a warning. I swallowed hard. You said they found you. My voice came out hoarse. You didn't say they were breaking into my damn home. His expression darkened. I didn't think they'd act this fast. I rubbed my face. Jesus Christ. He put a hand on my shoulder. I need you to understand something. They don't want to KLL you. Oh, fantastic, I said sarcastically. That makes me feel so much better. They want to own you, he continued. Just like they wanted to own me. I frowned. What does that mean? He exhaled slowly. My family, your grandfather's people, they don't just get rid of problems. They absorb them. They'll try to buy you, manipulate you, force you to be a part of their world. Because you're blood. I took a step back. So that's why you ran? That's why you hid me? Yes. I shook my head. And yet, here we are. Found anyway. He ran a hand through his hair. I wasn't careful enough. I let out a bitter laugh. That's a HLL of an understatement. Dad was silent for a long moment. Then, he straightened up. His expression hardened. We have to stop them. I blinked. Excuse me. I spent years running. Hiding. But that's not going to work anymore. His eyes locked onto mine. We have to shut them down. I crossed my arms. Right. Because that'll be so easy. I know how they work, he said. I know where they keep their secrets. And you, he paused. You have something they never planned for. I frowned. What? He reached into his coat, and pulled out a flash drive. This. He held it up. It has everything. Bank records, bribes, offshore accounts, proof of everything they've done. I stared. Where the HLL did you get that? His mouth twitched. I've been preparing for this moment for a long time. I exhaled. You're telling me we're just gonna what? Walk in and blackmail them? No, he slipped the drive into my palm. We're going to destroy them. It was insane. I knew it. He knew it. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized it was the only way out. We spent the next week moving carefully. I crashed at a cheap motel under a fake name while Dad made phone calls and reached out to old contacts. I had a choice, run forever or fight back. I chose the latter. And if there was one thing I had inherited from my father, it was the ability to play the long game. So we set the trap. We let them know we had leverage. At first, they tried to threaten us. Shadowy phone calls. Unmarked envelopes left at my door. Anonymous messages telling me I was making a mistake. Then they tried money. Millions. Offered in cold, hard cash just to hand over the drive and walk away. That's when I knew we had them. They were scared. So we went for the KLL shot. We leaked just enough information to the right people, journalists, federal agents, even a few former business partners who had plenty of reasons to want revenge. Then, my father did the unthinkable. He walked into their headquarters, the fancy downtown office where they laundered money through fake companies, and he made them a deal. All or nothing, he told them. We walk away, or you burn. They tried to call his bluff. Until the arrests started. One by one, their allies crumbled. Their money disappeared. Their power shrank. Within 2 months, the organization that had been untouchable for decades was in shambles. And just like that, they lost. The last time I saw them, the ones who were left, they sat in a private lounge in Manhattan, their once powerful empire in ruins. I walked up to the table, took a sip of the drink they had offered me, and smiled. I think we're done here, I said. They said nothing. They had no power left. I slid a piece of paper across the table. You're going to sign this. One of them, a man with slicked back hair and cold eyes, glanced down. What is this? He muttered. Legal documents, I said, making it very clear that you will never come near me, my father, or my life ever again. Silence. Then, slowly, he picked up a pen. As he signed his name, I leaned in and whispered, this is the last time we ever see each other. If you so much as breathe in my direction, the rest of that evidence goes public. His jaw clenched, but he knew he had lost. I took the paper, stood up, and walked away. Outside, my dad was waiting by the curb. I got into the car. He looked over at me. It's done. I nodded. And for the first time in my life, I felt free. Months later, I got a letter. No return address. Just a single sentence. Smart move, kid. I burned it. Then, I went back to my life. The life that was finally mine to live.
يعني احنا كل سنة بيبقى فيه تطور بس هو الشكل العام انه بيبقى فيه تنظيم كويس في كل سنة وهو الجديد المرة دي ان الحياة هي اللي بتغطي المهرجان وتحية لكل العاملين في الحياة مني ومن فرقتي الموسيقية.
وعايزة انوه لحضرتك كمان انه النهارده الحفلة ترند. حفلة حضرتك يمكن كان في ترند الاول الاستاذ علي الحجار وحضرتك النهارده فيعني اعتقد ان ده نجاح كبير جدا كمان المشاهدين اللي بيشوفونا على التلفزيون.
ما كانش ليا حظ ان انا احضر حفلة الاستاذ علي. أيوة لكن هتابع بقى بعد كده كل الحاجات.
تابع وتشوف بقى الترند بقى والحاجات. إن شاء الله. سريعا كده اي جديد عند حضرتك بتقدمه الفترة اللي جاية؟
يعني انا